You know what I like about Todd? He keeps the smile even after the picture was done. He takes it back to his position with him. Kim, Jones, and Machado up top. It is the third straight game with a different leadoff hitter for Baltimore. Then Trumbo, Mancini, and Jonathan Scope. Chris Davis now on the disabled list. Wellington Castillo catches. It's David Washington's major league debut, and J.J. Hardy batting ninth.
Let's take a look at the defense and how they're going to line up behind Miguel Gonzalez. Left to right, Melky Cabrera, Willie Garcia, and Avisail Garcia. Then it's Todd Frazier, Tim Anderson, Yomer Sanchez, and Jose Abreu in the infield, with Omar Narvaez behind the plate. Our Lexus Experience amazing starting pitcher is Miguel Gonzalez. There you look at the numbers. Last 8 starts have not been particularly good for him. But last time out, at times it looked like he was very close to being back to what he was the first 3 starts of the year. The umpires for the game tonight. Quinn Wolcott's got the plate. Ramon De Jesus at first. The crew chief Paul Emmel is at second, and Brian O'Nora is at third. So the skies have cleared for the moment. The field is in excellent shape, and we're ready for baseball. And I'm ready to turn it over to my play-by-play partner, Jason Benetti.
Let's get this thing going. Stoney, first pitch just around the corner. Sox at Orioles, and the Sox trying to keep the sweep alive after wins of 6-1 yesterday and 10-7 on Monday night. Hyun-Soo Kim leads it off, and Miguel Gonzalez throws ball number 1.
Kim was thinking about the bunt, and that's the best way to foil the shift. Because with Todd Frazier playing almost a straightaway shortstop, a bunt up the left side would work pretty well if you got it in play.
Up and in 2-0 officially. It's an hour-and-a-half rain delay, so first pitch time tonight 8:40 this evening. As Gonzalez is behind Kim, the 29-year-old on a Korea. He tags this ball well into right center field, but playable for Avi Garcia for out number 1.
Well, a nice battle back for Miguel, but not a practice he wants to stay in, and that's falling behind 2-0. Very much of a hitter's pitch. Miguel, to be effective like just about every pitcher without an overwhelming fastball, is he's got to stay ahead, and then he can use a split change or he can use his curveball. But the key is getting ahead, and that's one of the things he hasn't been doing recently.
Opposition hitting .324 against him after the 2-0 count this year.
That's pretty standard stuff. I mean, 2-0 hitters just love that. 2-0, 3-1. If you wind up in those counts, you're not going to have a real effective evening unless your stuff is overwhelming, and very few guys have that.
You know the numbers are going to be big, certainly in a 2-0 count situation, but I think the real stark one is the on-base percentage at exactly .500. I mean, when you get to 2-0, if you're Miguel Gonzalez this year, half the guys are getting on base.
Well, the key to that is something that I read as a very young pitcher, and that was the best pitch in baseball. And the argument rages on. Some people say it's a good curveball, some a good located fastball. Other people say the slider. Some people say the splitter. Best pitch in baseball has been and always will be strike 1, regardless of what you throw.
Just off the corner, 1 ball and 2 strikes to Adam Jones, the 31-year-old longtime Orioles center fielder. You look at the average numbers in Major League Baseball, and you can pull them up. 0-1 versus 1-0 is such a stark difference, and has been for years and years and years.
Well, it's a ringing endorsement to consistently throw strike 1, and that was off the foot of Adam Jones, and he is walking around rather gingerly.
With the injury to Chris Davis, they are already without a major source of offense, and now Jones will get a look from the trainer.
That's a split change, and he fouled it straight down onto his foot. So you have the shin guard, but that ball looked like it hit just below the shin guard, and he's still feeling the effects of it. Buck Showalter trying to figure out why his team has lost 11 straight road games. I don't think there's an easy answer to it. It's just a streak that they're on that you would hope your team never experiences, but they're right there at 11 and holding.
Well, he's a guy that knows how to handle a pitching staff. He knows offense. He still holds the single season batting average record at Mississippi State. Buck Showalter does. And you think of some of the names that have come through there: Rafael Palmeiro, Will Clark,
Bobby Thigpen. There's some really good hitters that have come through Mississippi State, but there's a man that has the record.
Ripped over shortstop, and it's a 1-out single for Adam Jones. As the Orioles, the road troubles that you're talking about, Stoney, the ERA is just enormous, and during this losing streak as well, the pitching has certainly not been there.
Well, we'll illustrate it graphically. Last 6 games, well, 0-6. Last 11 road games, we talked about 0-11. So things not going well in just about any department you care to analyze. Look at the ERA, 10.5. The anatomy of a slump, there it is.
Here's Manny Machado. First pitch hunting, he slams it down the left field line, but foul.
And that pitch has been one of the problems for Miguel. Rolling his breaking ball. Unfortunately, Machado got out a little too quickly on that, but he hit the daylights out of it.
Manny Machado at .218 starting play today, which is rather not what you'd expect from one of the top young talents in Major League Baseball. Got in on the hands, and this is into left center field and playable for Garcia for out number 2.
Good location. That's a fastball moving inside, and although Machado was trying to get the head of the bat in the proper place, he wasn't able to do it, yielding a really soft fly ball, easily put away, and that was a good location for Machado.
You're talking about the breaking ball from Miguel Gonzalez. Over the course of this season, he is tied for the most home runs allowed on sliders in Major League Baseball. He's tied with 2 others, including Jason Grilli, but 6 home runs allowed on sliders so far.
That's a high total and shows you that that pitch, for one, the slider along with the slow breaking curveball, they have not been breaking very well. And that was his slider or cutter, depending on what you want to call it. Every pitcher calls it something different. Normally they call a slider when there's some depth to it. They call same pitch, if it stays on the same plane, they call that a cutter. About the same velocities.
One and one to Mark Trumbo. Jones at first, 2 down, and that ball is lifted foul by Trumbo, who's 2 for 8 in the series after an 0 for 4 last night.
He's one of the guys, if Baltimore is going to get it done, Trumbo has got to harken back to last year. Last year at this time he had 20 home runs. This year he has 8. And last year an inordinate amount of the balls he hit in the air actually went out of the ballpark.
Ball and 2 strikes on him from Gonzalez. It's off the plate outside, 2-2. Orioles come in with a middle of the road batting average at .252, but the on base percentage is 25th in Major League Baseball at .308.
This is a team that has to hit the ball out of the park to beat you. They've only swiped 16 bases this year.
Swing and a miss for strike 3. That was a good slider from Gonzalez to finish off the top of the first. Orioles can't score. Sox coming to bat against Dylan Bundy after this. Sanchez leads it off, moving over to second base after Anderson got the day off yesterday. Then Cabrera and Abreu, who's hit the ball very well against Baltimore. Garcia, Frazier, Anderson back in. Narvaez behind the plate. Davidson with a homer in each of the first 2 games in this series, and Willie Garcia batting 9th.
Let's take a look at the defense and how they're going to line up behind Dylan Bundy. It's Kim, Jones, and Trumbo in the outfield with Machado, Hardy, Scope, and Mancini in the infield. Wellington Castillo gets a nod behind the plate. And our Lexus experienced amazing starting pitcher is Dylan Bundy. He started off this year unbelievably well. He was 5-1. Now he's 6-5. The ERA still good, just over 3. This is his 14th start. There you look at the rest of the numbers. And despite the fact that he's got a very good fastball, he doesn't strike out a whole lot of people.
Right-hander out of the Tulsa area fires in strike number 1 to Sanchez, who's 1 for 8 so far in the series, but does have a double in 2 at-bats against Dylan Bundy career.
For a lot of people around not only the Baltimore Orioles but scouts everywhere, when they saw Dylan Bundy, they said that he might have as good a stuff as any amateur player coming into the pros, and that was before arm surgery. But it was overwhelming.
Question is exactly how far can he go this season? The Orioles kept his innings down last year, and he's already fairly close to the limit they set for him last season, and we're only in June.
There's also another factor that comes into that, and that is he has started to really like his slider, and he throws more and more of them, especially when you look at the numbers from past years. More sliders this year than ever before, and it's a good one, but that will take its toll.
Why so?
I believe a lot of pitchers don't understand what the slider was devised to do, and that is break 3 or 4 inches and move off the sweet spot of the bat. Everybody's looking for depth.
Center field and Jones. 1 away. Say about our picks to click for tonight, and you can vote online as always, whitesox.com/pick-to-click. The fans got a win yesterday, and they'll go with Todd Frazier to try and make it 2 in a row. Cruz got Tim Anderson after a day off, and the Garcias over in our corner of the world. You're talking about the slider, though, and pitchers and what they use it for.
Right, and trying to get depth on it, a lot of times you will break your wrist. The slider was devised as a stiff wrist pitch, meaning you're not going to get a lot of elbow involvement. But as it's broken bigger in recent years, guys are trying to make it go down, and consequently they put a lot of strain on their elbow and come away with some elbow problems.
So ball and a strike on Melky with 1 down here in the first. We're talking about a stiff wrist pitch. What do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean is that it's thrown and held off center, and then you throw it to deliver it. It's almost a fastball delivery, but you're holding the ball off center, and that is the normal slider. But guys now are trying to get some break to it, meaning you're putting more strain on your elbow because you throw the pitch harder than you throw a curveball. So more break, more strain. Less break, an effective slider. And
ground ball to short, and Hardy for out number 2. So you're saying if you throw the slider as it was initially conceived, maybe there's less strain on it.
Right, and you know, the cutter is the same thing. The cutter and the slider are essentially the same pitch, except now the slider has become a hybrid because guys are looking for depth. They're looking for it to go down. So I would think that in itself would be straining for a lot of pitchers, especially if they use the split change, which is becoming more and more popular.
First pitch strike on Abreu with 2 down here in the first. Jose once again swinging the bat very well. He's got 3 multi-hit games in his last 4 and has striking numbers against Dylan Bundy. Good breaking ball, 0-2.
There's that slider that we talked about, and I talked with Caleb Joseph before the game today, He is one of the two catchers, along with Wellington Castillo. See, very small break on that. It's quick, it's tight spin. The hitter's eyes can't pick up the spin right away, and Bundy has something else that's really good.
Not his ability to get Jose Abreu out. He's now 6 out of 8 career, and he's got a 2-out single.
Dylan Bundy has a straight change. Well, a lot of people have straight changes, but the movement on a straight change usually is away from left-hand hitters. And also, the normal straight change has side spin. So a hitter's eyes can register side spin. They know it's going to be something other than a fastball. Bundy's straight change rotates exactly like a fastball. So to the hitter's eye, that straight change looks like a fastball, not a change. And before he can identify it, it's by him and it's effective. His ability to pull straight down on it, just like you would a four-seam fastball, makes his straight change much more effective than a normal person's straight change, because the hitter cannot identify it quickly enough.
You mentioned his infatuation with the slider. Throws about 21% of the time. The changeup is close behind at 16%, so he does like that pitch some.
And it's a good pitch, especially with the hitter's inability to know that it's a straight change, and that's strictly because of the spin, because hitters are taught pick up the spin as quickly as you can.
On to Avi. Abreu at first and 2 down. 0-2 on Garcia, who's got a 6-game hit streak coming into tonight's game. He's got a hit in 11 of his last 13.
Castillo has gunned down 43% of would-be base stealers, and so he can shut down a running game. And also, Bundy is very careful with Abreu, despite the fact that he has not even attempted a stolen base this year.
Jose is a very honest man. Doesn't try to steal very much at all.
No. But I assume that a lot like some players without great speed, as he gets a little bit further and understands what each and every pitcher will do, I think eventually he will steal a base or two in key situations where it can win you a ball game.
Close pitch, didn't get it, and 1-2.
Bundy, the 4th pick in the country in the 1st round when the Orioles picked him, and but for the arm surgery, which probably cut 7 miles an hour off that fastball.
Cue shot, second base. Scope forgot something. Abreu's on his way to third.
I'd like to see the base hit, and that's what it's going to be ruled. So he came off with a lot of spin, and his scope went to his left. Couldn't come up with the baseball. So alertly, Jose taking off, finding his way to third base. He's taking a look at it right here. He actually sees Scope miss it. So in looking behind him and watching Scope, he sees when the ball gets away and realizes he's not going to be able to get to it in time to get him at third.
So a rally brewing here in the 1st. Todd Frazier, the batter. 1st and 3rd, 2 down.
This comes into play tonight. Dylan Bundy's given up at least 1 home run his last 7 starts.
Wind has really started to pick up since this game has begun.
All Todd has got to do is get it up in the air to left center field. That wind is howling that way. It's going to knock the ball down to right and right center, and it's going to greatly aid the ball going to left or left center.
You'd imagine Todd's okay with that.
As a dead pull hitter, yeah.
2 balls, no strikes with Anderson on deck.
Castillo goes out to have a word, and he's talking about Bundy overthrowing his curveball and his slider to a certain extent. Well, as you can see, we talked about dead pull hitter. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, if he tilted the field where the power was going, the ball would roll the left field corner. There you see the runners, first and third, 2 down. Dangerous pitch right here. 3-0.
You would expect that Todd Frazier would have the green light. So let's see if Bundy gets a little careless. When you're 3-0 and you get the green light, you do what's called zone hitting. You're not looking for a specific pitch. You want a fastball, and you want it in a zone. For Todd, that zone would be middle in, probably thigh high.
Upstairs, ball 4, bases loaded for the Sox here in the first. He wasn't close.
He wasn't close, and for 10 consecutive starts, Orioles starting pitchers have an ERA up over 10. So that is a great way to burn out your bullpen when you're starting pitching can't go deep into the ball game. And Bundy on the ropes here in the first inning.
Dylan Bundy's only allowed 1 earned run in 13 first innings this year. It's been his best inning of his season. And he is ball 1 to Anderson.
Tim got the night off last night. And he's got some teammates who would love to score a run and get back in the dugout.
Anderson slices it through. Tim's got 1 home. Here comes the second. 2-0 Sox on top of Bundy early.
RBIs 18 and 19. And the offense, which has been pretty good in this entire series, starts off red hot tonight. Line drive by Hardy at shortstop. JJ very dependable, but doesn't have the best range these days, and that ball just shoots by him. So a very promising way to start the ball game.
Dylan Bundy had allowed in 27 career first innings 5 total runs, and we've talked about it. Pitchers usually, if you're going to get touched up, first inning is one of the danger zones, and he just has not had that happen like this in his career.
He had 2 outs, nobody on. Single, walk, single. 2 so far.
Strike 1 on Narvaez, and the Sox, you talk about the hot hitting. Sox have the best batting average since May 16th, coming into today at .286 over the last month or so.
Todd Steverson certainly happy with those numbers. And he's got some guys really starting to heat it up. Todd Frazier looks like he's ready to go. Jose Abreu has been just unbelievable in this run.
So 2 strikes on Omar. And Abreu's the guy that started this whole thing. It was his single, then Avi's single, Frazier's walk, Anderson's single.
Well, Castillo went out giving signs because 0-2's a good pitch to run. And if Anderson does, Castillo wants the infield to know what he's going to do with it.
Tim holds, and Narvaez fouls it away.
That got a piece of Quinn Wolcott, and Castillo just turned around and made sure that he was going to stay upright. Take another look. Straight in the middle of the mask, and before he can go down, Castillo grabs him.
On the ground is shortstop and J.J. Hardy for out number 3. But the Sox grabbed 2 runs early. After an hour-and-a-half rain delay, there's some electricity in those bats. 2-0 Sox.
report. And James Shields back in the clubhouse today. The veteran is scheduled to make his first big league start since going on the DL on April 21st. That will be this Sunday in Toronto. He made 3 rehab starts with AAA Charlotte. He got up to 90 pitches in his last start. So he says there will be no pitch count restrictions on Sunday while he's still getting his arm back into shape. He says he feels good, he's ready to rock. And something else kind of interesting to note, this was Shields' first time playing in the minors in over a decade. He said he got a bus ride in. He said it brought back a lot of memories, and he was especially impressed with the White Sox young pitching staff, in particular Lucas Giolito, Ronaldo Lopez, and also Carson Fulmer. Jason, Steve, let's go back up to you.
Sierra, thank you very much for that update, and a good sign for James Shields, who pitched very well in his 3 starts, a 1.62 ERA before he ended up on the disabled list.
And if you can go 90 pitches, you're ready to go up here. So a man who's never been disabled in his entire career before this current stint will come back and be ready to go this weekend.
In the air, right-hand side off the bat of Mancini. Avi on the run, and he cannot get there. 1-2. And James Shields, we know, had the very rough season last year, a 6.77 ERA. But, I mean, you look at the career log, and to be in the majors all the way through from 2007 to 2016 without a blip is extraordinarily impressive.
And the sad part about his injury is that he had started 3 games, was 1-0 with a 1.62 ERA, and all of the problems from last year just went away. He was throwing it really well. Now he just got to come back.
That's a fair ball down the third base side and toward the tarp. And this is going to be a double because of a touch by the fan reaching over the railing. So Mancini into second base. And his 3rd straight game in the series with an extra base hit.
Mancini hits the ball all over, and this one with a lot of topspin just got by Todd. See how high that ball kicks, and it grabbed some more spin off the dirt. So Mancini with a double. He uses the whole field, and that's one of the reasons why that batting average is knocking at the door at 290.
Here's Jonathan Scope. We're talking about James Shields. The last time he was in the minors was 2006. One of the guys that he was throwing to that year was Kevin Cash. Kevin Cash was a catcher on that team for the Durham Bulls.
And now a big league skipper with the Rays.
Came up through the Rays organization, and they played together with the Durham Bulls, which were and still are the Tampa Bay AAA affiliate. Two balls and a strike on Scope. He's a former soccer player, but chose baseball and chose wisely.
Very good athlete, and had to learn second base because it's not that easy a transition with a double play behind you instead of in front of you as it is when you're a shortstop.
With his size and just body type, he could be a clunky fielder, but he's very fluid.
He's good, and he came up with Machado, and both of them really can pick it. I mean, these guys will be 50% of a really good fielding infield.
3-1. Hit well center field, driving Garcia back, and it's over his head. Mancini to third. He's waved home, and he is there. The Orioles are on the board at 2-1.
RBI number 36 for Jonathan Scope. He gets a fastball. It's on the outer third, and he hits it right on the screws. Willie does not play it particularly well, and that's what happened. So a 2-base hit, a run driven in, and it cuts the lead in half.
Back-to-back doubles for Baltimore. And now the veteran Wellington Castillo, who was DHing yesterday with Joseph behind the plate. He caught on Monday. And you'd imagine Joseph would have the plate tomorrow for the day game after the night game. Here's a strike, and Castillo has had his fill of corners shaved off against him so far in this series.
He hasn't been completely enamored with the calls, whoever was behind the plate. Just so happens that sometimes you're the guy, but 3 different calls he felt went the other way that he felt were off the plate.
Throw to second, and Scope is back. Miguel Gonzalez, who battled through a torn meniscus and Tommy John surgery in back-to-back years when he was trying to make his way to the majors. Found his way to the Orioles, spent some time there, 4 seasons worth, and delivered to the Sox in April last year as a free agent signee.
It started off this year unbelievably well, and then it all disappeared.
Ball caught a lot of the plate, and it's high in the air to right field. Avi charging in to make the catch and to hold Scope at second base. 2017 Chicago White Sox are presented by Guaranteed Rate. Buying a new home has never been faster or easier with the world's best digital mortgage. Go to rate.com now. Should have a rate delay. They should sponsor the rain delay.
Well, hopefully there won't be too many more chances for a rain delay. But I don't believe we've seen the last of it this evening.
You feel it in your bunion?
Yeah, both of them. All 3 of them.
There's David Washington. And there's Jonathan Scope scrambling back. Scope saying, who are you trying to pick off? What are you doing to me? You'd imagine Washington would be raring to go here, this being his first major league at bat up from AAA Norfolk.
And he was a non-roster invitee to spring training. A big man at 6'5", 260. Last year, 25 home runs at Memphis, 5 at Springfield. It was a big year.
Came up through the Cardinals organization. And with Davis out, Washington, who was slugging the ball very well with AAA Norfolk, he had 26 extra base hits and was on a 9-game hit streak before coming up. He actually beat out Pedro Alvarez for the opportunity to come up here. Alvarez having a little difficulty in the outfield, reports say, in AAA. And there is strike 3 for Gonzalez. 2 down in the second inning.
When in doubt against a big, strong left-hand hitter, elevate your fastball. And that's exactly what Miguel did. You see the uppercut swing, the typical swing of a home run hitter. But that means that anything above the waist, you're not going to be able to make good, solid contact consistently. And Miguel exploited that.
Two down for J.J. Hardy. Batting 9th. He has a single in each of the first 2 games. And he takes ball number 1. Baltimore came into tonight a half game ahead of Toronto for last place in the American League East, and the Blue Jays are trying to stave off a hard charge by Tampa tonight. Jays were up 6-3 and now lead 7-6 with 1 out to get. I believe you have an update. That game's gone final.
Yes. They got the out on my iPad.
Oh,
Brewers is going to catch up as soon as you break down and get something from this century.
I bet you mine's newer than yours.
There's no doubt. Mine was the first one ever made.
Yours was the 1-1.
Yes.
First overall tablet pick.
That's exactly it.
How does that happen? We're in the same booth, and you get the update before I do.
Just
unreal.
high tech. I graduated with high.
Hiram Tech.
Yes.
2 balls, 2 strikes on J.J. Hardy.
Miguel gets out of this one with just 1 run. Should consider himself fortunate after back-to-back doubles to lead off the inning.
It was Mancini with his double to left past Frazier, then Scope over Garcia to center field. So 2-1 Sox, 2-2 on Hardy. Gonzalez and Scope are having a little stare down.
Well, so far nobody paying too much attention to Scope, and that's going to bring Omar out from behind the plate.
I don't know that that's working out, by the way. You might want to just get a slicker.
Well, she's probably hoping that she doesn't really need a whole lot of protection going through the rest of this evening.
Here, put this on your head, is what he said. It's dinner time, Steve.
And there's a young man certainly enjoying that.
2-2. Popped it up. Third base side, foul ground, and no play.
A scramble for the Souvenir.
Hey,
that's how you do it.
success. If you need somebody to screw in a light bulb later,
Don't call.
the cavalry will come.
Well, hopefully she does not need it anymore.
Yes. 2-2 to Hardy from Gonzalez. And wrapped foul. Yeah, I don't know what the alarm was to put the slicker on, right? To put the wrap on. It's Hawaiian shirt day in certain sections. It's Maui one side, and then it's tropical and rainy on the other side.
But you might have gotten a report that the rain is due in the 7th or 8th inning. So never too early.
She knew it might take a couple hours to put the thing on. 2-2. On the ground again and foul.
Already in a pretty good battle. The second strike was a cutter. Miguel threw well away off the outside corner, and Hardy went after it. Not a bad time for another one with Kim in the on-deck circle if Hardy can keep it alive.
Scope at second. It's fouled away again. Omar was hoping that by some smiling down of fate that would be a fair ball. It was not. So we'll see a 9th pitch.
Hardy most likely is going to be swinging. He's walked 9 times this year. 9 times in 215 at bats.
Thought you'd become Ed Rooney there. 9 times. You said twice. Last walk was May 24th for J.J. Hardy. That is ball 3.
He's on the precipice. And he's close to a walk.
Nine pitches, 5 fouled. And the top of the order next.
Willie Garcia is a couple of steps to the right of center. The gap's in left center.
3-2. Right of center field. Long way to go, but not too long for Willie for out number 3. He hadn't played well, and the inning is over. O's get 1. Sox still lead 2-1. State Farm. And we'd like to welcome all of our CSN viewers watching the White Sox on DirecTV right now. Hi, DirecTV folks. Sox lead 2-1 here in the second inning, and Matt Davidson will lead it off. We showed you the sequence when we first came on the air a couple of hours ago, but Davidson with the big at bat in yesterday's game, the grand slam to give the Sox the 6-1 final. It's back-to-back games with a homer for Matt. And now 1-1.
After a very long battling at bat, he finally got a fastball and hit it a mile. First grand slam of his career. Earlier in the sequence, he had hit a long foul ball down the left field line, but that one was between the lines.
That one is shelled to right center field, and it is gone. Third straight game with a home run for the first time in Matt Davidson's career.
That's 13 of them to go with 34 driven in. And the wind, which knocked that ball down, could not keep it in the ballpark. That's how strong Davidson is. Our Ford home run replay. He got a high fastball and took it the opposite way. That's the 8th straight start for Dylan Bundy that he's given up at least one home run, and he's got a long way to go in this one. So the Sox get the run back. It's a 2-run lead.
And with that home run, another generous donation from the Alex Nellies family in loving memory of Ursula. Matt Davidson, 3 times in his career, had gone back-to-back games with a home run, but he had never followed it up with a third until today.
And the best part about it for him is the fact that it came against yet another right-hand pitcher. For a guy who was slated to be a platoon player to face the left-hand pitchers, which the Sox have done a great job of. They've just pulverized left-handers this year. But getting a chance to play against the right-handers, and Matt now making the most of that and showing Rick Renteria that he can hit the right.
And Cody Ashe and Matt Davidson were supposed to switch off. Lefty versus righty, righty versus lefty. He was talking about it. Ashe was in the lineup day one. You're going to see more right-handers than you are left-handers, and Davidson has earned the playing time. As there's strike 3 on Garcia, first strikeout for Bundy. So 1 down for Sanchez. Folks have stuck around tonight after an hour-and-a-half rain delay. Game was slated to start 7:10. First pitch was 8:40. Folks milling around, grabbing some food. We have been brought some nice food here in the booth. The fried pickles from the Xfinity zone in the right field corner. Ooh, Sanchez gets drilled with 1 down.
For Bundy, just the 3rd man he's hit this year. That in 84 innings, so he doesn't hit him often, but this time Yomer could not get out of the way. Got him in a good spot. He's going to be just fine.
He will keep that for posterity.
Yomer has 3 stolen bases, but he's been caught 6 times.
Melky takes ball number 1, so we'll see if anything's on with Melky, a very good bat handler.
And the last 6, he's been red hot along with a lot of his teammates.
Melky takes outside 2-0. We were talking about the fried pickles we had delivered. These look pretty good, right? Want one?
No.
You don't like anything green?
True.
They're really good.
They look outstanding.
Yeah, you can get them right field, the Xfinity zone.
Little deep fried, got some breading on them.
Ranch if you want it.
I can get a ranch also.
It's a Chipotle ranch. On the ground, and nicely done by Melky to slide it into right field. Sanchez to third, and he slams on the brakes. But the throw is airmailed way out of here, and Sanchez is coming home.
Melky, I think, is going to be given third base. So Melky ambles into third. And he drills this ball right by Mancini. First baseman wants to be aware of the fact that he can't move off the bag all that much because you want to guard the line. Mancini did not come off enough to make that play, and then the airmail throw to third.
Jonathan Scope has not had a very good series.
No, in a number of different areas.
Abreu takes ball number one. I know you and I have enjoyed watching him quite a bit over the course of time. He's a good player.
This is really unusual. He's made 8 errors this year. That one just, he wouldn't have got him at third, but decided to throw anyway, and that was way too tall for Machado.
Abreu the other way to right field. Melky from third tags. Trumbo is well late. Sacrifice fly. Jose Abreu make it 5-1.
They get 36 driven in. So a big inning with a home run, a base hit, an error, now a sacrifice fly. Good inside out swing as Jose looking for something to hit in the air, drive home Melky, and that's what he did. So that is sacrifice fly number 2 for Jose. Always executing well.
When opponents have given the Sox openings recently, they've taken it, especially in this homestand. When the Orioles have wobbled a little bit, Sox have run through the door.
Especially encouraging coming off a 2-7 road trip. The guys have come back and doing just about everything right in this series.
By the way, we'd like to say hello to a very special viewer who's joined in, Dan Dockich, basketball analyst to the Stars.
Your partner in many gyms around this great land of ours.
And one of your biggest fans, Dan Dockich.
Well, there's no accounting for taste, but
especially bad taste. Oh, Machado lost his footing, and Avi's safe. Avi going for 2. He is there. And with that ball ricocheting around, he was going to be granted second anyway.
For Machado, that's just trying to do too much. He makes a nice pick, and then while falling, throws the ball away. No chance at all for Mancini, who gets eaten up, so I think it's going to be E5. We'll have to see what Bob Rosenberg has to say about that. It is a base hit. It is E5. Second error of the inning.
And Manny Machado now twice in a couple days has made decisions that show his supreme confidence in his arm and his ability even in a high-risk scenario.
It's the only downside of having a great arm, and there's not too many, obviously, if you're a position player. But the one downside is you believe you can make each and every play in every situation. In fact, there's more times than not, especially in a situation where you're falling as you're throwing, you're better served to just hold on to it.
Fastball from Dylan Bundy, who has just been in the center of this hurricane with things collapsing around him.
Well, he knows the way the starting pitching has been. His manager is expecting him to go deep into this game, but he's about to deliver pitch number 48. Not through the second yet. Usually doesn't bode well for an extended performance.
He missed his spot by quite a bit there, but he gets the job done as Scope makes the catch. This all started with the power of young Matt Davidson. His third straight game with a home run just right of center this time, and it's 5-1 after 2.
Forward to Miller time later in the game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
By the way, I think I figured it out as the Sox lead 5-1, and the folks who hung around are saying, hey, look at the scoreboard. I think I figured out why Dan Dockers is watching our game tonight. It's because the White Sox drafted Riley Crean in the 35th round of the draft.
Okay.
Sound familiar? He's from Bloomington North High School in Bloomington, Indiana. Riley Crean.
Tom Crean might be his dad.
I think you're onto something there,
Might be.
Mr. Baker Street.
Well, I mean, you know.
Dan's always scouting for his next basketball season. One strike, Gonzalez to Kim. And there you see Kim once again bailing, but keeping the bat in the zone. So Toronto's gone final. If the Orioles lose this game, they will be in last place in the American League East after opening 22-10. Speaking of bailing,
That one back this way, and young Jason decided that discretion was a better part of valor, but it didn't get up here. And don't worry, I will protect him.
it's a late move, though.
Very
By
late,
you, yeah.
always late.
I've always prioritized discretion over valor. It's a pretty good breaking ball that Kim laid off. Went off speed again and fouled away by Kim.
2 straight changes and laid off the first, just barely got a piece of the second.
Kim 0 for 7 all time against Gonzalez.
There's some young fans. They brought their gloves. They're ready to go. You never know when a foul ball will come your way.
Supervision's overrated, by the way. Let the kids go and enjoy the game.
They seem to be enjoying it.
In the air left side, Melky makes the call. Sox fans host a pregame patio party this season. With purchase, you receive a game ticket and can enjoy an all-you-can-eat buffet and all-inclusive wine, beer, and Coke products. Patio opens 90 minutes prior to the game and closes 30 minutes after the start of the game. To purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com/group. Mentioned one of the draftees of the White Sox. There are 40 new players after the draft concluded today. There were 10 selected in the first 2 days of the draft, and now the Sox have 40 new guys that they have taken and will effort to sign. Jones pops it foul, and no play. You look up and down the list, and there's a lot of University of or blank blank University from the Sox. Not to say there weren't any high school draftees, but it was a very college heavy draft once again by the Sox.
You would expect that is pretty much a game plan. In fact, it took them to the 8th pick to pick their first high school player, and that was Sam Abbott.
To third, and Frazier on the backhand to the line for out number 2. Sam Abbott is an interesting story. He had a scholarship to go to Long Beach State to play water polo, and the Sox drafted him. He had to be pulled out of class to get notified that he was drafted, and so Sox see something in him as a project, and water polo and baseball skills evidently have some crossover.
That's not an easy sport, water polo, especially in the deep end. I preferred my water polo in the small end.
Did you say you prefer to compete in the shallow end?
I did. For water polo. Yeah, I just wouldn't go to the other side. It's too deep. You got to swim too much.
Which water polo competitions do you see that have 2 sides?
Well,
now I can see you trying to game the system for picks to click, but now you're trying to game water polo that you're not even competing in.
no, I believe that at 6'4", 225, as a high school senior, that's some size.
Todd Frazier gets low for that one, and a 1-2-3 inning for Miguel Gonzalez. A shutdown inning to give it right back to the offense and Tim Anderson.
Site of the 2020 Ryder Cup. Discover 4 of Golf Digest's top 100 public courses, all located in Kohler, Wisconsin. Learn more at whistlingstraits.com/White Sox. Just a couple hours north of here. Beautiful golf courses, great experience. Don't play it.
Our research interns were just jamming along during the break on our discussion about water polo, and there's a major topic of consideration going on in California. There are some schools in high school in the state of California who play only in deep water polo pools, right? But some play at community pools, which are, as you were talking about, shallow to deep.
Right.
So there's a disadvantage for teams that have to play in the shallow to deep pools. Then they go to the regionals, and they have to play in deep pools, so they're not as well conditioned for that sort of scenario. There's strike 3 to Tim Anderson, and that's your water polo info for the day.
Just in case they decide to change career paths.
I would love to see that. I'd pay to see that, in fact. Welcome to those of you joining us on the main CSN channel. You just missed a stirring discussion of water polo and its effects in terms of deep pools or shallow pools. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you. And the Sox have a 5-1 lead here in inning number 3 with a 3-run second and a 2-run first. If you didn't hear, by the way, the White Sox drafted Sam Abbott in the 8th round, who is a fantastic water polo player. In fact, Swimming World magazine wrote about him just today.
Well, with the draft completed at this point and teams trying to reassemble some really good young talent, perpetuate some good young talent in the case of a lot of them. If you had your choice, you were building a baseball team, where would you want to pick your smartest player?
Smartest player.
Smartest and the most leadership ability.
I'd pick catcher.
You would.
I would.
Well, there's one of two things in my estimation, either your catcher or your shortstop. They would be preferably a take charge kind of guy and be able to control the situation. The catcher has everything in front of them. The shortstop is on the field, and you know, in the case of Derek Jeter, he was the smartest player on the field during his time, and that certainly helps. I agree with you, though. A catcher, if you could design that guy like Salvador Perez, who came up with great leadership skills, that would be ideal.
On the ground, second base for Scope, and out number 2. I'd want my catcher, honestly, not even joking, I'd want my catcher to have a psychology degree.
It really would help to understand how best to get whatever you're going to get out of your pitcher on a given night, because the catchers who can get a few extra outs from their pitcher, that in itself is just invaluable.
I was just reading a story about the Moneyball draft. This is 15 years later now from that Oakland A's draft with the Moneyball guys in the book, and their catcher Jeremy Brown, who washed out, but he was a major part of that book.
22nd round, I believe.
Yeah, I think a little earlier than that, right? But nonetheless, from everything the players said, he should have been a major league catcher. There was so much strain on him because of everything happening with the book and whatnot. But one of the things that the pitchers said unequivocally about him was he went out there and not only understood you, but you felt like he was playing for you. He was invested in you as a catcher.
No, that in itself, I mean, if your man behind the plate is a take charge guy, has leadership skills and the understanding that a major league catcher has to have, because you have to know your hitters, you have to know their hitters, you have to know your pitchers and their pitchers. You just have to know everything that goes into a baseball game on a given day.
I think Matt Davidson wants to light up the StatCast again.
Let's take a look at StatCast, powered by AWS. And this was the latest of his 3 home runs in 3 games. 106.3 exit velocity. And Derek Holland says, yes, there it is. Can you see it? It's gone.
Oh, boy.
That was a curveball slipped out of his hand and went in back with Matt Davidson.
Matt Davidson, you see the slugging percentage increase from those 2 seasons we talked about yesterday in AAA. He was hovering around 200 batting average wise, and this year is just a major outlier in a good way.
It's 2 curveballs in a row that slipped out of Bundy's hands.
Three balls, 2 strikes. That's a 3rd straight curveball that did not find its way, and it's ball 4 to Davidson.
Well, I'm not sure if Wellington Castillo will go out and make this suggestion, but when you throw 3 breaking balls and they do what that one did, which is very little, you have to shorten your stride and try to stay on top of it. That's the best way to get the rotation you need for a good curveball. Without shortening your stride, it's going to stay up in the zone, and one of them is going to get hit awfully hard.
Here's Garcia. He switches to the fastball and misses well low. So Anderson struck out looking. Narvaez the ground out to second, and Davidson the walk. And that's the anatomy of the inning so far. 63 pitches deep for Dylan Bundy.
Castillo's probably going to make a suggestion about the breaking ball as he goes out to have a word with the right-hander. It's a whole lot of pitches so far, not through the 3rd inning quite yet. And another curveball stays in the same spot. For Bundy, he was very lucky that one didn't roll down a little lower.
That's a breaking ball that would have just nipped the zone, and Garcia swung through it. You said shorten your stride, but those balls are flying.
Yeah, they're just coming out of his hand. He's not getting good enough rotation.
Garcia in the air to right field, and Trumbo for out number 3. It's a 2-out walk and nothing more. We have played 3 in a rain-delayed game on a Wednesday night, and the Sox lead by 4. Stone, and we have some nice new prizes for you, including schedule and a glass.
Not only that, but we have our gnome who had a tragic accident. Lost the top of his head, so he now becomes Ivan Gnome.
Yeah, it's a medical issue that we've had pregame today.
Poor guy.
But thank goodness we have that nice wristband to cover up his bruises with. One strike on Trumbo from Gonzalez. And on the ground, Anderson at shortstop has some time and safe, very close.
Well, that was a spectacular effort. Getting it there on the money is a good trick when you're pretty much in a full-out sprint to your right. Tim Anderson shows you just how much range he has and how strong that arm is, because he doesn't have a whole lot of time to plant, just fires it across. It's there. But unfortunately, he's there.
I think it's really close, Steve.
It was very close. Yeah.
I think it's almost worth a challenge.
The key word being almost. Yeah. We'll play on, though.
Okay. One odd, nobody out for Mancini. And he's part of the reason you'd like to get that leadoff man pushed aside, because Trey Mancini has had a season's worth against the Sox this year. He's now 9 out of 16 against the Sox in this his 6th game of the season. He's doing to the Sox what Aaron Judge has done to the Orioles this year. Aaron Judge has, I think it's 8 home runs against Baltimore this year.
There's no telling what Aaron Judge would wind up with for a home run total if Camden Yards were his home park, because that is a real easy place to hit home runs. Not that he needs any advantage, because he's so enormously strong. Hitting a home run a couple of days ago measured at 495 feet.
Yeah, 8 homers against the Orioles, 4 doubles in 40 at bats.
It's pretty impressive. Maybe a change of scouting reports is in order.
There's a strike on Mancini. Yeah, whatever the signal is for intentional walk, use it.
Well, Buck Showalter is the man that, with the bases loaded, with the Diamondbacks, he walked Barry Bonds with a 2-run lead and wound up winning the game.
Outside ball 4, first walk for the Orioles today. And here's your Sox math question for tonight. Hashtag Sox math on Twitter. First correct answer wins a prize. Yolmer Sanchez's age minus Avi Garcia's age times Matt Davidson's jersey number, add Tommy Kahnle's jersey number. See you for a beer won yesterday. And do it in order, by the way. Do this in order. I know order of operations is multiply first, but do it in order. And hashtag Sox math. First correct answer wins a prize off the prize show. So 2 on, nobody out for Jonathan Schoop. Big spot for the Orioles here, trying to claw back against the Sox. And ball number 1 from Gonzalez to Schoop.
Orioles this year #1 in the American League, hitting with runners in scoring position, but because they don't do it a great deal, they haven't scored all that many runs in situations like this. Miguel thinking about throwing a ground ball.
Anderson can't get there. Trumbo stops at third. It was a ground ball, but a well-placed one. And the bases are loaded for Baltimore with nobody out.
Well, there's an example of getting the job done, doing what you set out to do, which is on this cutter, getting the ground ball. Unfortunately, it just eased its way through the left side under the glove of Anderson, who actually dove over the top of it, and it loads him up. So a golden opportunity for the Baltimore Ball Club. And Miguel has got to pitch his way out of a tough jam with a guy who's a .290 lifetime hitter with the bases loaded, Wellington Castillo.
And one of the better hitters right now for Baltimore. He's at .293 coming into the game, which was the best batting average in the starting lineup tonight. at the outset of play. He's just 1 for his last 14 in the last 5 games, though.
He's coming back from being hurt a little early in the year. And you see pretty decent speed at first base. Mancini with good speed out at second, and Trumbo is Trumbo.
Told you in our open tonight, the Sox have turned 6 double plays in this series so far, so it is available.
They would gladly give up the run for a double play in this situation. Castillo's grounded into 4 of them this year.
2-0 on Castillo. On the ground, Frazier at third comes home, and it's wide. 5-2. Everybody stops right there, and still nobody out.
You'd assume that would be E5. An awkward throw. That was going to be a fielder's choice and a run batted in. Off balance throw as Todd was moving to his left, had to come back, and no chance for Narvaez.
So bases still loaded, still nobody out, and Washington in a big spot in his 2nd major league at bat. He struck out very quickly in the 2nd inning, and now is the lead run in the 4th inning. And pretty well behind that fastball, 0-1.
Just watching the swing that he struck out on in the 2nd inning and that particular swing, you'd be doing him a favor by throwing him anything off speed, because you keep it middle in, anything above the belt, and he's not making much contact except maybe popping it straight up.
Carved at that one low, 0-2. You think face-high fastball here?
Absolutely, and I would keep throwing it until he swung at one, and it's probably going to be the 1st or 2nd pitch.
Bases loaded, nobody out. 0-2. There it is, and there's strike 3.
2 up, 2 strikeouts, and a good face-high fastball. So big first out of the inning. Good spot for it. Uppercut swing, no contact, and it's on to Hardy. JJ is an inviting double play target. He's grounded into 6 of them this year.
.34-year-old shortstop JJ Hardy goes after the first pitch and pops it up. Garcia charging in to make the catch, and no advancement. 2 down.
Willie did the right thing by coming in, calling off Yolmer, and then getting ready to make the throw. It's not hit very far at all, and so there's no chance for Mancini to think about scoring. And Miguel 1 out away from getting out of this inning.
Bases loaded, 2 down for Kim, who's got 2 flyouts, 1 to right, 1 to left. That ball's ripped into the shift, but Sanchez can't get there. 1 is in. Here comes Scope, and he scores. Now they've got Castillo caught in a rundown, and he eludes the first tag, but cannot on the 2nd one. Barnum and Bailey's closed, but that final play is reminiscent. Orioles do chip away with 3 in the inning, and Buck Showalter is going to come out to argue over the final out.
I think Buck Showalter is thinking about an interference call. and Tim just misses it. So he's clearly out, and I think what Buck is talking about is interference. It didn't come into play that time, so we'll step out. We'll be back.
No, spend summer break at the ballpark. The next Teacher Appreciation Night is on Friday, June 23rd, as your White Sox take on the Oakland A's. Get specially priced seats in select sections for all teachers, faculty, students, and their families. Visit whitesox.com/teacher to get yours today. First pitch was a little out of the zone, but Bundy got the call against Sanchez, strike one. Fastball, 1 strike. So you kind of get the feeling that 5 may not win it tonight, Steve.
No, I would think that a few more would be in order.
Good breaking ball from Bundy, 1-2. Sox got 2 in the first and 3 in the second. Baltimore with 3 in this inning. Sanchez sends it foul. Twins are trailing 6-4 unless you have a further update.
Let's see. Nope. 6-4.
Fly ball center field, and Jones tracking it for round number 1. Here's your Sox math answer for tonight. Suds 2 is your winner. Yolmer's 24. Hobby's 26. That's -2 times 24. Matt Davidson's jersey number. That's -48 plus Tommy Canley's 48. And you're back to 0. Congratulations to Suds 2.
Get your choice of just about anything that we want to send you up to Prize Show,
including schedule in a glass. First pitch ball, one to Melky Cabrera. There's no guarantee that when it gets to you, it will be schedule in a glass. It may be schedule and a glass. It will not likely be the Irwin Mainway toy Johnny Bag of Glass.
No, it will not be that. But that looks awfully good. Ooh. A moon pie.
You like moon pies?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. if you take away the ice cream and chocolate and things like that, there's really not much to it.
You could have the moon, and you don't want it. Fouled away by Melky, 2-2.
Bundy, in the meantime, has started to get his curveball over the plate, which he couldn't do earlier, and throwing some decent straight changes now, but he's at the 75 pitch mark.
You know what's in a moon pie?
Ice cream and chocolate.
Oh, it's like graham cracker and marshmallow, I think.
Ooh. Well, now you might have sold one.
Melky fouls that away. Somewhere lunar. Three balls, 2 strikes on Melky Cabrera, who's raised his average about 20 points in a week, and he's worth every photo you take. Ball 4, third walk tonight for the Sox, and it comes with 1 out in the 4th. DeWalt, the official tools of the Chicago White Sox. DeWalt Guaranteed Top, offering total job site solutions.
There's a young lady who's practicing that swing. She's trying to become a switch hitter. Curveball and slider were giving her some problems right-handed, so she figures if she loosens up left-handed, she's got a chance.
Well, it's draft time, and she's toolsy, signable.
Signability would be the key there.
Good upside, right?
Yeah.
Ball 1 to Abreu.
Orioles have had a hard time retiring Abreu. Lately, everybody's had a hard time retiring Jose.
He's 6 for 10 in this series. He's only struck out once in his last 5 games, and the 2 at-bats, 2 trips to the plate here tonight.
Well, that's usually what happens when a hitter gets hot. The first thing that happens is he starts to take a couple of walks. Then he starts making solid contact, many times at somebody, before the hits start to fall. And Jose's in that streak now where just about everything is starting to fall. Against these Orioles in 6 games, he has terrorized them, hitting an even .500.
That's not 2 for 4 either. That's 11 for 22.
Not quite Aaron Judge-like, but still pretty effective.
Throw on Melky, who may be taking a nap over at first.
Well, you got to keep Melky close. You never know when that first stolen base attempt of the year is going to come along.
You will lie in the weeds for half a season or so and then spring it upon you when you least expect it. Up and in on Abreu. Melky, for his career, has 97 stolen bases. He's right near 100. Dating back to 2005.
I was going to say most of them fairly early in his career.
20 of them 6 years ago.
Good.
The point still being he's not going.
He's not going. They had a good 3-1 curveball, so that's getting a lot better. But pitch number 84 on the way.
Bundy's gone full now to 3 of the last 5 batters. Popped it up. Scope.
was one of the better fastballs Bundy's thrown because he got it exactly where he wanted it, right in on the hands of Jose. Castillo wants it there, Bundy gets it there, and even though Jose tried to bring his hands in, trying to get the good part of the bat on it, he wasn't able to do it. And Jose can do that as well as anybody in the league right now, but that time Bundy beat him.
So now Avisail Garcia with Melky at first. Sox have stranded 5 so far in the game if Melky remains at first. There is strike 1. So Avi has continued the hit streak, now 7. And he's 4 for 6 career against the right-hander out of the state of Oklahoma, Dylan Bundy. He did not go. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Outfield very deep and pretty much straight away for Avi. Same thing with the infield. Well, a few times you don't see much of a shift anywhere on the field.
.94-mile-an-hour fastball, 1-2 on Garcia. Dylan Bundy working up a pretty good sweat out there on the mound.
Humid night tonight. Rains came through, not overly warm, but lots of humidity.
One, 2. Fouled away. Told you about the Twins being down to their final at bat. They've got 2 on in the 9th, down a couple of runs. The Indians are trailing as well, and the 2 Central divisions are hyper competitive because nobody has run away with either of them so far.
No, giving hope to everybody in the respective divisions that you just might have a chance.
Cincinnati started the night 4 games back in the National League Central at 29-35. The Sox were 6 back in the AL Central at 28-35.
Well, Houston's running away with it in the West. There's races in the AL East and AL Central. Washington pretty much running away with it in the East, although New York seems to have gotten things righted.
Avi tried to check it up and got caught in between. So strike 3, and that'll do it for the 4th. 5-4 Sox to the 5th we go.
Again for the Miller Lite Game Report, and Tim Anderson may have had the day off on the field yesterday, but he was certainly busy in the community. The shortstop and his wife Bria launched a community outreach program called Anderson's League of Leaders. The program specializes in school-based interventions focused on personal achievement and violence prevention. So yesterday, Tim met with kids at an Inglewood elementary school. He told me some of the stories really stuck with him. He said one kid told him that he didn't want school to end for the summer because it was the one place he felt safe. Now you'll recall Tim took time off last month to mourn the death of his best friend as a result of gun violence. So this topic really hitting close to home for him. Jason, Steve, let's go back up to you.
Sierra, thank you for that. And talking to Tim about that initiative, the first thing he said was when Brandon Moss, his friend, died, he said he needed to do something to give back and make sure that didn't happen to as many people as possible. While Tim says, you know, he didn't grow up in that sort of really negative circumstance. He has a lot of friends and family who did. And he wants to make sure that as few people as possible end up in that scenario.
Whenever you get a chance to work with kids at anything, it's really a nice thing and a great way to give back to the community. And Tim wanted to do that, so what he did was very nice. And hopefully we'll just reach, and you don't have to reach many, just a couple of them. Just reach a couple of them. And that's what he's trying to do.
One and two to Jones. That's up the middle, but playable off the shift for Sanchez. Round number one. I think back to spring training and got a chance to, we both did, talk to a bunch of guys in the minor league complex, and a number of, especially the younger players, listed Tim Anderson as their favorite guy to talk to or their best friend on the team. That's the type of magnetizing personality he is. And we've run at least one of the clips on the show this year, but Tyler Danish said they used to go back to the apartment in Arizona and talk for hours just about life and things that are coming and ways to raise children and things like that. And Tim Anderson at a very young age is becoming a leader, not always vocally, but just in his heart, the way he relates to everybody in that clubhouse.
And a lot of people don't realize that you're honing your skills as a player. You're always doing that in every aspect of the game. But you're also, in many instances, because the players are younger than they've ever been coming to the major leagues, you're actually growing up in professional baseball. And it's really nice that other players look to Tim for that kind of leadership, because it's gonna be very important for him, again, in knowing that a shortstop should be a leader. And he's got something going for him at an early age that a lot of people don't realize until it's too late.
He and I were talking yesterday about draft day, this being draft time, and reminiscing about his draft day. And I said, what was the best part of draft day for you? And he had gone to the draft just to have that experience. And he said, look, my favorite part of that was, as Abreu makes the catch, my favorite part of that was my mom's face and just seeing the joy that came out of her based on what I did. And for a young guy like that to say that about his family and what they gained from that experience, which became very lucrative for him, I think is pretty telling.
Well, in the case of so many of the people who happen to be wearing these uniforms and making a living doing this, they had a very good support system coming up. And without the support of my parents, I would have never been able to accomplish what I was able to do. And the reason is they were there to take me to practices, to take me to games, to provide for me things that I needed growing up. So that's the one thing I try to impart when I talk to young people about what they're going to do, what they want to do, what they'd like to achieve. I also talk to parents and explain to them just how important it was for me and everybody else who plays this game to get some guidance and some encouragement from their parents.
And what's neat is bringing it full circle. Tim Anderson is dealing with some of the youth in this community that don't have that support system to prop them up. He's becoming that for these kids.
And that comes with, you know, if you are involved in a one-parent household, it becomes even more difficult. So Tim's trying to help.
It's one thing the Sox have always done very well.
Yeah, they've always been, the organization with Jerry Reinsdorf as the leader has always been very philanthropic and very much involved with the community.
Broken bat, parachute into left. That ball didn't know where it was going.
That was, if you followed the flight of the baseball, it took a right turn. And you just don't find right-hand hitters that have that happen. Usually the ball hooks toward the line. This one actually not only didn't hook toward the line, but it looked like a slice. It looked like one of your wedges you might have hit with a slice. Amazingly, it spun toward left center field.
In the air to right field, and this one drops in. So the flight of the Bumblebee fifth inning continues for Baltimore. And Scope will come up with 2 on.
Mancini just waving a magic wand against the Sox pitchers. Another perfect night for him. A double, a walk, a base hit. He scored 2 runs. This time he just floats it into right field. So runners at the corners, still the 2 outs that were provided by the first 2 hitters of the inning.
Jonathan Scope has had a very nice night offensively with 2 hits, an RBI, and a run scored. He couldn't check his swing. That is strike 1. Fouled away 0-2, and we can use StatCast for nefarious purposes as well. Here is the Mark Trumbo fly ball.
That's one of the stranger line drives, fly balls, whatever it was. It moved to the right. You're going to be hard pressed to find another right-hand hitter to do the same thing that Trumbo just did.
Like a plane trying to figure out how to land at LaGuardia. Two strikes on Scope. Mancini at first, Trumbo at third. Gonzalez couldn't get the swing.
Nice stop, however, as Omar comes out, smothers that pitch, which was a good 3-4 feet in front of the plate.
Former Baltimore Oriole Miguel Gonzalez for 4 seasons. Trying to get through 5 against his former side. 1-2. Again, he buries one. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And again, Narvaez stops it.
This was a change, and that looked like it caught the front of the plate. Usually when that happens, the ball just flattens out. Omar kept the glove down, stayed right with it, and saved the tying run.
2-2. Fastball fouled away.
That one right down the middle, and Scope actually jammed himself. That was a very hittable fastball. He just barely was able to foul it off.
Back-to-back singles with 2 out. Two balls, 2 strikes. Gonzalez missed outside. What is the choice on 3-2?
Well, if he's got confidence, and he's gotten a lot of things over the plate tonight. For me, a good split change. You get a hitter who is a very aggressive hitter in scope. Let's see what he decides to go to.
He missed downstairs, ball 4. Bases loaded for Wellington Castillo.
Again went with the fastball, missed with it to load him up. And Don Cooper looks like he's ready to make a trip to the mound. That's because he is. And the bullpen's going to start to work.
By the way, you can follow Dan Hayes, our White Sox insider, all season long on CSNChicago.com. Presented by The Great Escape. Pools, patio furniture, hot tubs, and more. Escape your everyday shop. The Great Escape. The Charlotte Knights have won in a lengthy affair tonight. AAA 4-3 in 13 innings. And here's how they did it. In the bottom of the 13th, Jacob May walked, Sox opening day starting center fielder. Jacob May stole second base. Nicky Delmonico grounded out, moving May to third. And a wild pitch with Reimer Liriano at the plate scored May. So a trip around the bases for Jacob May, wins it for AAA Charlotte tonight.
Juan Minaya loosening in the pen.
And Wellington Castillo in a watershed moment in this one, in game 3 of the series, takes ball 1. Bases loaded, 2 down. Sox have been pretty content to pitch Castillo off that outside corner. Hit well center field. Garcia back at the wall. Castillo has gone long for a grand slam, and it's 8-5 Baltimore.
Home run number 5. That's the number of runs batted in tonight by Castillo. He's got 22 for the year. And that one straight over the 400 sign and straight away center field. A forward home run replay. It's a high fastball right down the middle, and Castillo takes it right back up the middle and way out. That's into the foliage in center field.
8-5 Baltimore. And strike 1 on a breaking ball to Washington, who has seen all strikes in a couple of punch outs, but the Orioles' fortunes have turned on a late Wednesday evening home run for Castillo. That all happened with 2 outs, Steve. Single walk.
Nobody on. Yeah, unfortunately.
Washington swinging tonight like he's playing his final game. It's his first game. I mean, he's got to be amped up.
You know that.
But those are big rips. One and 2. High fastball. He lays off. Center field, Garcia drifting with it to make the catch to retire the side. But Castillo's grand slam has turned the game 8-5 Baltimore after 4.5. thank you. 8-5 here. Sox are trailing thanks to the home run from Castillo in the top of this inning. And now the comeback begins. Todd Frazier first for ball 1. How about the new life injected into Dylan Bundy, who gave up 5 runs in the first 2 innings.
And the last 2, he's walked a man in each inning, but he's gotten out without any further damage.
First base side, and Mancini. Join us at Guaranteed Rate Field as the White Sox take on the Oakland A's Sunday, June 25th. It's Southpaw's birthday. First 7,500 kids will receive a Southpaw bobblehead presented by Mercury, Chicago's Skyline Cruise Line. Visit WhiteSox.com to purchase your tickets today. Happy birthday to the Paw coming up. Ball number 1 to Anderson. What'd you get Paw for his birthday?
I haven't figured it out yet, but it'll be something from north of the border.
Proving once again it is the thought that counts.
Exactly right. Paw is what? 14, 15 now?
In Paw years. Ball and a strike. Bundy just has not had pinpoint command tonight.
No, and the curveball, it's been there on occasion. It has not been there consistently. He's at 5 pitches away from 100, so it won't be a long outing, but this fact that he has the lead probably somewhat surprising to him.
Tim Anderson 6 walks on the year. He's at 3-1 here. And chopped foul, 3-2. Down 14.5 hours till game time tomorrow. Sox and Orioles will conclude this series at 1:10. Tim goes down swinging, 2 away here in the 5th. That will be Chris Tillman, who has struggled coming back from injury, against David Holmberg, who's been pretty good for the Sox in the starting rotation.
A nice curveball last time out.
Two out for Omar, who's grounded out to shortstop and second base.
There you look at the numbers. Not one of Dylan's better outings, but he's got the lead.
Some days your offense makes you feel really good as a pitcher, doesn't it?
You need some help. I mean, that's what the guys are, that's what they're there for.
Good changeup, 1-2.
He's got a really good changeup, and the 2 that he's thrown to Narvaez were probably as good at 2 changeups as he's had all night. 1 called, 1 swinging. And Mania continues to throw, and he should be ready to go. Let's take a look in at Castillo and see what he calls for after checking the feet of Narvaez to see if he got closer to the plate. He didn't, and he's going with the hook.
And hung. Narvaez to right field, but playable for Trumbo. And that will do it for the Sox, who have had no hits since the second inning. Just a couple of walks. 8-5 as Bundy settled down.
Sox Talk podcast presented by Wintrust. Jim Callis from MLB.com discusses the White Sox draft picks. Plus, find out who were the steals of this year's draft. Subscribe to White Sox podcast today. And Juan Minaya comes in the ball game, so his job is pretty simply to hold him right there. A 3-run deficit he inherits on for the 7th time. His ERA, 7.88, a 1-0 record. There you look at the rest of the numbers. A good number, 12 strikeouts in 8 innings of work. So he deals with Hardy in the 9th spot and back to the top of the order.
Minaya came up last month when Dylan Covey went on the disabled list. Had a sturdy start to the season with AAA Charlotte. He had a 1.23 earned run average. Not so far translated here to the majors, but he's still kind of getting his feet under him after the injury to start the year.
It's a well-dressed Sox family.
An old school brood. Two strikes on J.J. Hardy. From the high set. She's ready. And just outside, ball and 2 strikes.
She's ready and then swings the bat.
Well, yeah, it's interesting.
Well,
it's like Bugs Bunny.
You gotta be versatile. You'll be drafted as a spunky little infielder or pitcher.
She's a future Brendan McKay. I've been meaning to ask you. Do you think somebody like Brendan McKay from Louisville could ever do both in the major leagues, hit and pitch?
It's an interesting idea to try that. I don't think that it's going to happen anytime soon.
That was a strike. And because of the reach, didn't get the call. That was in fact a very good strike. One of those best strike not to be called a strike situations.
Well, normally when you set up and then have to move a foot and a half one side or the other, you're not going to get the benefit of that call.
That was close. So was the swing. No go either way. 3-2.
This one might have caught the outside part of the outside corner.
Tag to left field. Melky is back on it, and he cannot make the play. Hardy's on his way, and he is safe.
It goes a 2-base hit. It was a fastball, and Hardy, who's in a home run drought, hit it awfully hard. Melky has it just tip off the end of the glove, and then he makes it interesting at second base. And the question is, look, his leg came off the bag, and the question is, was the tag still on? If the answer was yes, then he was out.
That is reviewable. We've seen that from fielders in the instant replay era, holding the tag on the entire time. You're supposed to anyway, but there's even more value now.
Well, he goes in hard, but then his foot comes off the bag, and Yolmer still has the tag applied. So he was actually out at second. Kim, who is a pull hitter, is trying to move Hardy at the very least to third base with the end of this at bat.
He's pulled the ball twice today, once for a single, once for a fly out to right. By the way, Minnesota has lost tonight, and so has Cleveland, both by the counts of 6-4, both at home. Garcia in center, fading back. He makes the catch. Hardy from second going for third, and he's there. One out, and we present to you, fearless viewer, America's fastest growing sensation, Sticks and Stone. Who was the first Oriole to hit a home run against Steve?
I'm going to go with Tommy Davis.
You seem pretty confident.
Well, seeing as I can't remember facing any of them, I'll pick the man in the middle.
Can't remember facing any of them? You just wiped that out of your mind?
Well, as a rule, the 70s are a blur.
For you or
for me?
The general populace?
Not for the general public, no.
Infield drawn in for Jones. He extends the zone. Strike one. Huh. Wonder why that happened.
Dead ball era.
Dead brain cell era. It's an 8-5 game, but you never know when this extra run might be important as you see the infield drawn in. And 0-2 against Jones. This game started in a 90-minute rain delay, 8:40 first pitch. Some eerie looking storms came rolling through right around game time.
It was raining awfully hard, and then that was it. We haven't seen any since we started play.
On the ground and through. He went up to chop it, and Jones drives in Baltimore's 9th run tonight.
30th driven in, and the second hit of the night for Adam Jones. He threw one out of the strike zone. When you're protecting 0-2, you just want to make some contact, and with the drawn in infield, no angles for a ground ball, so it's a 4-run deficit.
Jones with hit number 5 in this series. He's had 4 singles the last 2 nights, and Manny Machado fouls that first pitch away. Sox have kept Machado from really causing a big stir. His 3 hits in the series have all been singles.
He's coming back from that sore wrist, and you'd have to believe that although he's a very good hitter, he's just not near 100%.
Past Anderson. 2 on, 1 out.
Mike Wright. Not exactly loosening in the pen, probably pretty well loose.
Gotta stay hydrated. So Trumbo, who singled in his last 2 at bats. Orioles with 8 runs since the 4th inning began. Strike called. Trumbo, the 47 home runs last year. And that was an outlier, but the 8 home runs certainly is as well right now for his career.
Those 47 home runs, about 25% of the fly balls that he hit went out of the ballpark. So In a day and age where a lot of people are thinking about launch angle, Trumbo has a built-in launch angle that's always been that of a home run hitter. Last year he just hit an inordinate amount of fly balls out of the park, and he can take them out any direction.
So double, fly out, single, single the inning so far. How about the 7th double play in the last 3 nights?
That one right off of Omar. He appears to be okay. That got him right on the left side of the mask.
Two and two. Orioles are one of the least patient teams in Major League Baseball, 3rd worst coming into the night with 168 walks. They have 2 tonight and a 3-2 from Minaya to Trumbo. Jones at second, Machado at first. This will find the seat, still 3-2. .31-year-old Mark Trumbo. Payoff pitch from Minaya. Fouled away again.
That ball might have had a piece of the outside corner, and Trumbo in protection mode fouled it off. Trumbo came up with the Angels, spent some time in Arizona, Seattle, and the last 2 years in Baltimore.
There's strike 3, and Trumbo torn down by Minaya, 2 away.
That was a high slider that didn't do much, just barely got a piece of it, but it stuck in Omar's glove. And retiring Mancini has proven to be troublesome.
There was nobody there to receive the throw, but still Jones went scrambling back.
And then he applied the tag to himself because there was nobody around.
And he challenged the call of safe. Strike 1 on Mancini, who has scored 3 times tonight. Double, single, walk, and all 3 times he's come around. Ball and a strike, Minaya to Mancini. Sox led this game 5-1, but the Orioles have come storming back. Through the left side for Mancini. Melky's up with the ball. The throw will not get there. 10-5 Baltimore as Jones scores.
Tomorrow afternoon in the finale of the season series with the Orioles, There'll be a lot of pitchers very happy they won't be facing Trey Mancini any longer because he has just torn it up. 3 hits and a walk tonight as Don Cooper goes to the mound. And it's a 5-run Baltimore lead.
While we have a moment, let's see how well you know your own career.
Okay.
Here's your answer for Sticks and Stone tonight. You took Tommy Davis and you win. You're a winner.
How about that? Way back in 1973. Tommy Davis was a very good hitter.
Could he eat pizza?
I think he could appreciate a pizza every now and then.
That was the only run you gave up in that game, by the way. Congratulations.
Wow, thanks. Yeah. Did my bullpen make it hold up?
You know, I'm
Let's
not
hope.
sure. We need to check on that. I mean, yesterday they helped you out big time.
They did.
So the foul ball from Scope. He and Mancini have been up 7 times tonight, and they've not made an out. Popped it up back of home and out of play off a stair and bounding to some young folk. Well, we know there is some gold in them thar hills in the Orioles bats.
It's usually the case where, you know, when you're playing like the Orioles have been, it looks like a terrible baseball team. It's not a terrible baseball team. It's actually has the makings of a pretty decent baseball team if they can get their starting rotation settled. If they can do that, Buck Showalter has certainly enough thunder in this lineup, especially when Chris Davis is in the lineup, because he gives them more balance, a left-handed bat that can hit the ball out of the ballpark. But he's on the disabled list, and so they're having to make do with what they've got, and the starting pitching has not been good for them.
Check swing, ball in the dirt from Manaea. 2-2 on Scope. Orioles are trying to stay out of last place in the American League East with Toronto winning tonight. Baltimore needs a win to remain in 4th. And Manaea wants to talk to Narvaez. Juan Manaea, former Houston Astro farmhand, waiver claimed by the Sox almost exactly a year ago. Off the plate outside, 3-2 on Scope. Jonathan Scope, now 6 of his last 12 games have been multi-hit games, including tonight's. And he sprays it foul.
You'd have to believe for the Orioles that Manny Machado is going to start to heat it up as his wrist gets better. Scope is doing a terrific job. Mancini bursting on the scene and hitting everything in sight, so they've got enough offense on this team.
Three balls, 2 strikes on Scope. Mancini at first, Machado at second. He got him. Orioles do grab a couple more. It's 10-5 after 5.5. ceremony. One lucky winner will be chosen to meet Mark and sit on the field to witness number 56 be retired. Not only could you win this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but you can also earn items personally autographed by Mark. Visit whitesox.com/56 for charity to enter. Contest ends Friday, 5 p.m. Join the campaign today. Steve, we have waited around for Mr. Wright.
And here he is. We both will meet him. Mike Wright on for the 6th time. 13 strikeouts in 9 1/3 innings. Selected in the 3rd round of 2011 draft out of East Carolina. And that was the 4th highest selection in the history of that East Carolina program. So he inherits a pretty sizable lead, but a lot of outs to go in this one.
12 outs to go, in fact, in regulation. And here is Matt Davidson. So Bundy goes 5 innings, 5 runs, 4 earned, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts on 6 hits. Well hit. Good start. Mike Wright has a career Major League ERA at 5.95, so there are some runs out there possibly for the Sox.
And with enough outs to go before this one's over, you got a bullpen that's not exactly a lockdown pen for these Orioles. There was a time when that was the case. It has not been the case recently. In fact, that Baltimore pitching staff, 2nd from the bottom, just barely better than Minnesota, who is last in pitching in the American League.
You consider that and what the Twins have done this year to lead the Central. They're 33-29 with the loss today, but boy, that offense has been very strong. Last night, certainly.
28 hits. That's
20
good.
runs, right?
Yeah, that's good. Surprising thing for Minnesota, and when you look at where they are, which is number 1, and you see that they're 13-20 at home at Target Field, that's pretty amazing. But they're 20-9 on the road, which is also somewhat amazing.
There's a strike, 1-2. Sanchez would be next. Then Melky and Abreu. 1-2 on Willie Garcia.
That one hit awfully hard, but on the wrong side of the line. Well, the young man's got a souvenir, so for him it was the right side of the line. And he is a real happy guy. See? A baseball.
Nothing compares to getting a baseball at a game. There's strike 3 and 1 down for Sanchez. For years that ball will be, remember Mom, remember Dad when that ball came over and I made the catch? And it's always a story with a ball that you got at the game.
Was never able to do that.
You never got a ball?
No, I never got a baseball at a game.
What about one of the comebackers somebody hit at you? Did you keep it?
No, that I didn't keep, but those I got a few of. Sometimes a little bit harder than I would like.
Runs outside for ball 1. Wright is typically very heavy fastball for his career, 70%, then 19% slider and 9% changeup. Davidson a leadoff single, first Sox hit since the second inning. There's a walk in the third, a walk in the fourth, and a 1-2-3 fifth for Dylan Bundy, who's out of the game in line for the win. 2-0. Sanchez rips it right at Hardy, and Davidson cannot keep his feet. It's a double play to end the sixth, and the Sox can't make the leadoff single fruitful. That was stung by Sanchez, but directly for J.J. Hardy. And that'll do it for the sixth.
Opens up about his decorated career on the South Side. It's all part of the celebration as the team retires the lefty's number on June 24th. Inside Look, presented by Cadillac, premieres tomorrow night at 9 on CSN, or live stream at csnchicago.com/watchlive.
Sox are trailing in this game 10-5. Orioles' 6-game losing streak is in danger of not continuing. And Minaya, Wellington Castillo, and he's the guy with the grand slam that caused the major problem in the fifth. By the way, Steve, this day in baseball history in 1870, a much longer streak than the Orioles' 6-game losing streak was broken. The Cincinnati Red Stockings in Brooklyn had their 130-game win streak snapped.
They caught some bad breaks in that game, though.
81 official games, 49 exhibitions. They lost that day to the Atlantics. So it was 1869 to 1870 was that win streak.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Parity had not reached baseball at that point. The entire salary, by the way, for the Cincinnati team that was so hot in 1869 was $11,000.
That's good. That was a lot of money in those days.
For the whole team, sure.
Yeah.
New meaning to the phrase major league minimum.
That was a time when pitchers could not raise their arm above waist high. Everybody was a sidearm. They just didn't allow it. And catchers were, because there were no masks, way back.
On the ground is shortstop and Anderson. Umpires weren't always behind the plate either.
Nope.
There was a time umpires were behind the pitcher's mound.
You could make it out by catching something on one hop. That was an interesting time for the game in its infancy stages. And the Red Stockings were a team that traveled around, and they would make odds. They would either give their opponents runs, or you could get odds in the game. And that's what the game essentially was played for in those days, was making a few dollars.
11,000 if you're the entire team. Washington in search of his first major league hit. From AAA Norfolk, the Tides in lovely Harbor Park, where they have a ragtime band playing before first pitch typically. That is strike 3. Third strikeout for Washington, and 2 down.
Shortstop number 2, J.J. Hardy.
You never played in the International League, right? You were always in the PCL,
Yeah, I
the American Association.
Came up with the Giants, and no, it was Pacific Coast League at the time. So California League, Texas League, and Pacific Coast League. The Giants had all of their teams in the western part, as you would expect. That was fun. You just didn't know what was going on with professional baseball at the time. Because you were a very young player, you didn't know any of the rules or anything along those lines. I'm talking about rules of the professional game. But it was great.
There's barnstorm in the country. A young Steve Stone who was in the process of forgetting an entire decade.
Well, oh, that was when I first started. That was still a decade I can remember. That was the 60s. So, you know, you always hope that you're going to have an opportunity to play professional baseball. That's what a lot of young people hope. And getting that opportunity, then you don't know what's going to await you. And I'd never seen California before, so going out there to Fresno my first year was just a wonderful experience.
To left field, and Melky. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Juan Minaya. It is time to stretch. Sox need a nickel.
The fun home. There was a lot of fun to be had before the ball game. A lot of young folks among the 20,008 in attendance tonight.
How about that there? You see the young kid and the dad, and dad's pointing at something in the field, and the kid's got the widest eyes ever, as though he's never seen it before. And that's what you get at the baseball game every night, is families enjoying the very first time they're seeing something.
I just remember how green it was the first time I saw Cleveland Stadium, the old municipal stadium.
I thought you were talking about your first $100 bill.
No, certainly not that. That was, well, what? That was well into my 40s.
But you would know, considering the way the 70s went. Ball one to Melky. But all kidding aside, I was thinking about this earlier today during the rain delay. I stepped outside. I was just taking in the sights and sounds of the ballpark, and the one thing that hits me from childhood in this ballpark is that there's the same scent, right, of sausage in the ballpark, Italian sausage and hot dogs and just the food commingling. It is the same as when I grew up and came to these games. It's pretty awesome, the recollections you have.
I mean, I just remember a sea of green when I saw that for the first time.
Melky, a fly ball right to center field. Jones is there for out number one.
Melky hit it a long way, just not quite far enough. But it was certainly, it was the look of the park and all the grass, and as manicured as it was beautiful. And then you remember, as a young person, you do remember the concession stands, because I just remember, you know, asking my dad about every inning, get something else, you know, between the hot dogs and the peanuts and the popcorn, the ice cream, whatever it is, you know, it's just a food fest for the young people. Yes, they like the game, but they really like to eat.
Oh, no question about it.
Yeah, that was a great part of the ballpark, was things that you just couldn't get anyplace else.
Yeah, you're not walking around in the middle of you know, the suburbs running into churro stands, right?
No.
Like that's one of my major recollections of coming here as a kid, is the churro stand and the cinnamon just everywhere.
Well, my recollection in Cleveland Stadium was something that you wouldn't have experienced, because you don't like mustard, but they have ballpark mustard in Cleveland, and they had it when I was growing up, and they still have it now because we were just there.
Same stuff?
It's the same stuff.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it's a brownish gray mustard that's just outstanding. And you know, you see it in Cleveland. I've seen it a few other places. Bertman's is one of the things. Stadium mustard, another one. There's two of them. Very nice.
I'm being shown a picture of it by Joe Grube here in the booth. Stadium mustard.
It is. It's wonderful.
I was so enraptured by your story, I didn't want to interrupt it, but I do like mustard.
No.
I do, yeah.
Why don't you put it on hot dogs?
I would if it were wholly available at the one time you're talking about.
Oh, I don't think that's the case, but okay. I mean, we'll go with that.
It's the one major gap in our friendship, but it's a big one. And I don't know if we're going to get through it. 3-2 on Abreu, who singled and scored in the first and had a sac fly in the second. Baltimore has scored now the last 9 runs in this game.
That was a good fastball by Wright. That was 96 miles an hour, right in on Jose's hands, and he couldn't do anything with it.
Three and two from Wright. Scope left of second for out number 2. Hey, join us for Country Music Night presented by Coca-Cola, Friday, June 23rd, 7:10 p.m. Buy the specially priced package and get a game ticket and a White Sox cowboy hat voucher. Hats are limited to the first 1,000 fans. Visit whitesox.com/country to get yours today. Got your cowboy hat yet? Or your voucher at least?
Not yet, but I am going to get one of those because they're very good looking.
I kind of like the idea of you tooling around downtown Chicago in a cowboy hat.
That's a fine looking cowboy hat.
No, I'm not disputing that.
Yeah.
I just think it would be a great look for you.
Give it a try.
Get you one of those Zubaz shirts and a cowboy hat. Past third. Hit number 3 for Avi Garcia tonight. And he motors for second base. 3 out of 4 for Avi.
Machado is off the line, and Avi takes it right down the line. Hard hit ball past the diving Machado. Got excellent hands, but couldn't come up with that one.
For all of the things this game has not been for the Sox, it has been a continuation of a wondrous season for Avi Garcia.
Yeah, he's hitting it really well, and he's right in the neighborhood of 340. Again, solidifying his credentials for getting to the All-Star game.
There's a strike from right to Frazier, who's 0 for 2 with a walk. Todd's RBI total has been mounting. He's got 12 of his total 31 RBIs this year since May 28th. Oh, and 2 on Frazier. Off with his head.
That one wasn't that far inside, but Todd was diving in to protect the outside part of the plate, and that one wound up a little closer than he would like. Did get out of the way, although that is not a comfortable situation.
One and 2 on the ground, left side. Machado off the spin, makes the throw for out number 3. You scream, I scream, we all scream for ice cream. 10-5 Baltimore, going to the 8th.
Now at eclicklending.com. eClick is located in Chicagoland. It's rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. eClick Lending. Boom. Boom. Oh, your mortgage just happened again. And we got a new pitcher coming in the ball game, and it is Dan Jennings. So Juan Minaya went 2, gave up 2 runs on 4 hits, and Dan comes in on for the 30th time. So he's been a busy man. ERA at 4 1/4. A 2-1 record. and a 5-run deficit.
Joey Rickard's going to go ahead and pinch hit for Kim. So Buck Showalter decides that he doesn't want the lefty-lefty thing.
And it gives his right-handed platoon player a chance to get another at bat. Rickard with very good speed. He started the ball game last night, picked up a couple of hits, and scored a run.
Former College World Series champ. Back in 2012, he's out of Bishop Gorman High School in Las Vegas. Beautiful campus and a heavy dedication towards sports.
And the home of Greg Maddux. Las Vegas. Bryce Harper.
He's coaching at UNLV right now, right? Is that right? Maddux?
That's what I had heard.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jennings in for Minaya, who went 2 innings, gave up a couple of runs. Dan thought about a nifty backhand. Instead, it is Sanchez from second base for out number 1.
Gilmer had to hurry because Rickard can run. But he got him by a half step.
How do you feel about the fact that Chase Maddux is pitching for the UNLV Rebels?
It substantiates the reality that time really does fly. As I remember broadcasting Greg's early portions of his career. First year, 6-14, and got hammered. And then figured out that if his fastball ran away from the left-hander and out over the plate, he would have to have something to keep the ball inside to the lefties. And he came up with a cutter, along with a changeup, which put him into the Hall of Fame. 355 wins.
23-year career.
With a very simple motion, and that's one of the reasons why he stayed around, stayed unhurt a good portion of his career, because he had a repeatable motion which was very simple, very easy, and it helped him with pinpoint control, which is how he made the Hall of Fame.
Here's a really funny thing from the Greg Maddux file. He walked exactly 999 guys in his career.
Probably decided to retire because he didn't want to get to 1,000. A lot of strikeouts, though, for a guy that wasn't overwhelming. A lot of strikeouts.
3,371 career strikeouts. Anderson on the charge, rights himself and throws out Jones for out number 2. Vote today, vote tomorrow, vote White Sox for your 2017 All-Stars with the Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot. Vote at whitesox.com/vote and catch all the excitement of the 88th MLB All-Star Game presented by MasterCard, July 11th, live on Fox. Beautiful new stadium in Miami. Sox got to go down there last year and see the fish, literally and figuratively. Baltimore scored in the 4th inning 3 runs, then in the 5th inning 4 runs, and 2 more in the 6th inning.
The toughest part of this game to this point is 5 early runs the Sox put on the board the first 2 innings, and then 5 straight goose eggs after that.
Crack to center field, and Garcia lines it up for out number 3. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Dan Jennings. Bottom 8 next, 10-5. Are you up? That's our question.
And thank you, Art Chuck, as Joey Rickard stays in the game to play left field, and Michael Givens comes in the ball game with a wonderful record. On for the 29th time, he's 6-0, 2.61 ERA, with 31 strikeouts in 31 innings. He's a converted shortstop. In fact, he came up with Machado and Scope, and they all played together in the infield.
First pitch is outside for ball 1. By the way, that Charlotte game, total running time is 4 hours and 15 minutes from first pitch for 13 innings. So the Sox are actually going to have played plus been at the park in a delay for longer than Charlotte tonight, which played 13 innings.
Never know, this one might go extras.
That wouldn't make it shorter.
You sure?
That ball's hit well by Anderson to left field, and Rickard just into the game flags it down. 1 away.
That ball hit very hard, but unfortunately, Rickard, with good speed, able to make the play. He got there quickly, got a good break, and ran to the spot and hauled it in.
One down for Omar Narvaez. And he takes ball number 1.
Michael spells his name M-Y-C-H-A-L.
Phonetic.
An unusual spelling. This is a guy with really good stuff. He's had a quality major league career. 2-0 his first year in 22 outings. Last year 8-2 in 66 outings.
Pretty electric arm.
And an unusual delivery. I mean, he's a guy who will throw just about everything from the side, which makes him really tough on right-handers, but should make him fairly vulnerable to the lefties, but not if he stays where that last pitch was and he gets the call.
You're saying because lefties can see the ball for quite a while?
Yeah, they can see it all the way. And that's why side armors or submariners are always battling to come up with something to get the left-hand hitters out.
Submariners or submariners?
Depending on which watch you like.
3 balls and 2 strikes on Omar. On the ground, first base, Mancini. 2 gone in the Sox 8th. Sox and Orioles will finish this series tomorrow. 1:10 start time. We can still say tomorrow. Still have 20 minutes left in today. Chris Tillman and David Holmberg, your pitching matchup.
And that's what it looks like. Last 7 starts for Chris Tillman. Has not thrown it very well. David Holmberg, last time out, was really good. In his 3 starts, he's been more than acceptable. He's been good. And the curveball last time against the Indians was very good. Hopefully more the same here in a quick turnaround with a day game, and then it's off to Toronto.
Don't forget your passport, okay?
I'm going to try not to.
Two strikes on Davidson, who homered in the 2nd inning. 3 straight games with a home run for Matt Davidson. There was so much question in spring training. One of the hot button topics was who is going to DH for the Sox. The answer has very clearly fleshed itself out as Davidson takes strike 3 in a 1-2-3 inning for Givens, who is gifted with a very special right arm. 10-5, the Orioles with the lead to the 9th.
Mike Pelfrey in a relief role. It's the first relief role of the year for him. He has 10 starts, ERA at 3.88, 2-5 record. There you look at the rest of the numbers, and it was his side day anyway, so here he is. And this is what pitchers used to do a lot of, just don't do much anymore, is throw in a game out of the pen on their side day.
Only the 7th relief appearance of Mike Pelfrey's major league career.
Well, he came up as a first-round draft pick with just great stuff. And so you'd have to figure he was starting all of those games at that point.
High into the night sky. Narvaez for out number 1. Hey, Sox fans, you win with Papa John's Pizza all season long. The day after the Sox win, you get 50% off your entire online order of regular menu priced items only at papajohns.com when you use promo code SOXWIN. Valid at participating Papa John's locations. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. So 1 down for Mancini, who has not provided any outs tonight. He's been up 4 times. He's reached 4 times. Pelfrey just started on Monday. Went 3 2/3. Gave up a couple earned runs. Walked 5. Struck out 2. There's a strike. 0-2 on Mancini.
Be nice to retire the Notre Dame product for the first time tonight. He's had 6 hits in the series.
Sox were up 5-1 in this game. Baltimore has scored the last 9 runs.
Back when all was beautiful, 5-1 after 2 innings.
Wellington Castillo, a grand slam for the Orioles tonight. Could have been strike 3. There it is. 2 down. Mancini's first out of the night.
Good fastball low and away, and threw it in a perfect spot, and he swung through it. Just off the plate, but too close to take. And retired.
Two out for Jonathan Scope, who's been on 3 times tonight. That ball is rolling and touched foul. There was a moment there where the Sox were hoping that it would roll fair, and then there was a moment when Scope crossed that imaginary line that the hope was it stayed foul and better touch it before he ends up with a single unwittingly.
Well, off the end of the bat, sometimes it hits that grass where the grass meets the dirt and kicks back into the field of play. That time it didn't.
The old Massey shot in billiards, or pool as the kids are calling it nowadays.
I remember in an exhibition playing pool with Minnesota Fats.
Wait, really?
Yeah, and I remember I said to him, "Can you make this bank shot?" And he would say, "Oh, bank shots, that's my long suit." And everything I asked him if he could do, he said, "Well, of course I can do that. That's my long suit." So apparently he had a lot of long suits, but at that point he couldn't play pool very well.
Is that right?
Yeah. Good showman though.
How did you get caught up in a pool exhibition?
I was in Baltimore during my time there, and they asked me to come out, that he was going to be there, and so we played.
Did you win?
It was fun. It wasn't really a game because he was just setting up the ball someplace and
trick shot.
Yeah, using lots of trick shots and doing a lot of other things, and then he would miss it, and then, well, let me try that again, and then give it a try. So it was fun.
Anybody else that you played exhibitions against in their sports of choice?
I really can recall. No.
Very specific situation. I didn't figure the answer would be yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I also didn't imagine you had played against Minnesota Fats.
True. And I never rode horses with Eddie Arcaro or any of those guys, so
that's a loss. Missed opportunity. Towering pop-up. Anderson waves for it and makes the catch. 1-2-3 inning for Mike Pelfrey out of the bullpen. And we'll play bottom 9. Sox need some runs.
Miller Lite. Here's our Miller moment, and it could be no other moment in this game but the grand slam home run by Wellington Castillo. It was a ball game at that point, not so much afterward. This coming into 5th inning, an inning that saw 4 Oriole runs scored and a little daylight between the O's and our ball club.
So it'll be Alan Hansen to hit for Willie Garcia. Who was 0 for 3. And ball number 1. Hansen got his first career White Sox start in this series. That came just yesterday.
It seemed like just yesterday.
Hansen drills it right center field. Jones is back at the wall. It is up and out of here. Hansen clears the wall for his first Sox home run.
That of the pinch hit variety. And Alan Hansen hits it just far enough.
His first major league home run as well.
Ford home run replay, and Givens a little easier for the left-handers to deal with than the right-handers. And that one goes out of the park, and that is the first pinch hit home run of the year for the Sox.
It's a 4-run game and ball 1 for Sanchez.
I think they're going to be able to get that one back because I don't think it went in the seats.
Same homestand, 2 first home runs.
It's pretty nice. Kevin Smith had his first, and now Alan Hansen with his first, and that is a very happy young man, as you would expect.
The guy who said when he first got called up to the big leagues with the Pirates, he called his mother and he said, "Mom, I'm going up to the big leagues," or whatever he said in that way, and she didn't talk for a couple of minutes, and his first thought was, did I injure her out of shock? Mom, are you okay? She finally answered, she was just choked up with the whole proceeding. There's a strike, 3-1 on Sanchez. One more rally? What do you think?
They got it in them. Top of the order.
Second base side, Scope tracks it down, and there is out number 1. Past your bedtime, kids.
Just part of the 20,008 fans. Few were still left.
Part of the Park Ridge baseball teams that were here today. Little League season.
Nice to see the young people at the ballpark, and there was a lot of them here tonight. But long game, long rain delay, and most of them have found other places.
Strike called, 1-1. Melky singled and scored in the second, walked in the fourth. Mancini at first, and 2 gone. Tell you what's coming up for the Sox. It's one more game with the Orioles. That's 1:10 tomorrow. Holmberg on the mound for the Sox. David Holmberg against Chris Tillman. Then 3 in Toronto. 6:07 Friday. Then a couple of noon starts Saturday and Sunday before an off day. And Minnesota for 3 games at Target Field.
Be interesting to see the Twins. Haven't seen them in a bit. They still have control of the division.
I saw him a couple weeks ago. Miguel Sano is still big.
Kenneth Vargas is just about as big. And playing them at Target Field is probably a good thing, where they're 13-20. Just don't get the Twins on the road because they're 20-9.
The Orioles' 11-game road losing streak is 1 strike away from coming to an end. Overall 6-game losing streak for Baltimore. Regardless of the result tonight, the Sox will have a chance for either the series win or, even more unlikely, the sweep tomorrow after winning the first 2. One and 2. Abreu sprays it foul. Count remains 1-2. Homers in the game for the Sox, Davidson and Hansen. And for Baltimore, just the grand slam for Wellington Castillo, which busted the game open. The Sox were still up at that point, 5-4, but Castillo's grand slam made it 8-5. And now 10-6.
Gibbons is trying to end it today. Jose Abreu is trying to keep it going till tomorrow.
See who wins out. Jose does.
That's 2 for him tonight to go with a sacrifice fly. And here comes Buck Showalter. He is motioned to the pen. This game will roll on. And there is the closer. So as he runs in, we'll step out. Be back after these messages. Tomorrow. Yes, indeed.
We didn't have a countdown. The ball's supposed to drop 10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
Well, instead of that, the Hyundai call to the pen is going to be the closer, Brad Brock. On for the 29th time, and with Zach Britton out, Brock has done just a great job considering he was never a full-time closer. This is a non-safe situation, however, and sometimes without the adrenaline, you're able to get to the closers. We'll see if tonight's one of those nights.
Wonder how many times in Major League history a game has had one substitute, and that substitute has come in the next day. One sub that's come in the next day. Everybody else played the day before.
I would assume a few times. Yeah, absolutely.
You want to look it up? Tell me tomorrow?
Oh, sure.
Oh, not tomorrow.
No
today,
problem.
later today. 0-2 on Garcia. Abreu is down to his final strike and single. Avi center field. Jones for out number 3 and out number 27. Baltimore wins 10-6 with a rally in the middle innings.
What started out so promising after 2 innings turned into a victory for Baltimore, snapping their 11-game road streak. 11 losses in a row, a long time for these Orioles. We will see them tomorrow, and I will see you. Get your rest. It's a quick turnaround.
First pitch coming up in 13 hours and 7 minutes. Join us. For our producer, Keon Dolachagi, our director, Jim Angio, associate producer, Dave Ross, tech manager, Mark Harper, and the executive producer, Jim Corno Jr. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti. So long from Guaranteed Rate Field. Coming up next, Subaru Post-Game Live. You've been watching Chicago White Sox baseball on CSN. Get some sleep.